Hi everyone, it's Stephanie from Inspire Me. I am coming to you today to show you how to create a TP fold card. So this is the card folded flat, but what I like about this card is it is a 3D fancy fold. And so once it's assembled, it stands up on 3 legs, which hard to see in the video, but I'll make sure to post a picture at the end so you can see it. So it does stand up like that, and it has the 3 sides. So there's lots of instructions out there on how to create this card, and the design I am working with, or the template I'm working with, is a little bit different. The others that I have seen use 3 squares that are folded in half diagonally, and then you have to assemble them. Mine is only 2 pieces, and it's a design that I copied from another demonstrator, Diana Langman. Now, I don't know if she came up with the design herself or if she got that from someone else, but I found it worked better, so that is what I'm going to work with today. So let's go ahead and show you how to create this card. So you need to start with a sheet of paper measuring 8 inches by 4 inches, and then you need another square measuring 4 by 4 in the same color. And then we're going to pull in our trimmer. And we're going to use the scoring blade, so that's the light gray one. And the first thing we're going to do is score our square diagonally. So if you line up your points in the track, you know that you're getting a good positioning, and then you're just going to run your score blade across there a couple of times. And you can see that I've got that nice score line in there. And then with our larger piece, we're going to score that in half at 4 inches. And then we're going to score diagonally from that center score line. So again, we're going to line up the points in the track and give that a nice score. And then we're going to do the same on the other side, from that inside score line to the outside, lining up the points in the track. So we have our base. Now you're also going to need a sheet of designer series paper measuring 3 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches, and you're going to need to cut that in half. So while I have the trimmer out, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And again, you're just going to line up points in the tracks, and then you're going to give it a cut with your trimmer. You need both halves of that, and then you also need a sheet of Whisper White measuring 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, and we're going to cut that diagonally as well. So same thing, line up the points in the track and give her a cut. Now in this case, I only need 1/2 of the triangle, so we're going to put one aside for future. Okay. So now let's go ahead and assemble our base. So the first thing you want to do is you want to fold along your score lines, and we're going to burnish those really well using our bone folder. And then you're going to fold your diagonals. You should have a piece that looks like this. And then we're going to pull in that little square, and again we're going to just burnish that crease. So now this is where we're going to assemble. So we're going to fold our longer piece in half. And the center score line is going to become a guide, because what we're going to do is we're also going to fold the square in half, and using the folded edge, we're going to line up our triangle here against that center score line, and we're going to adhere it there. So I am going to use Fast Fuse because I do still have some. And if you have Fast Fuse, it works really well. If you don't, tear and tape would be my recommendation, because it is just a little bit tackier than snail, and it's going to hold a little bit better. just want to stick that down, and then you're going to fold it over and you're going to do the same thing on the other side. And push firmly, make sure it stays in place. And there is our base. So now if I fold these two flaps in, that creates our teepee. So what I've actually done to get the teepee to stay together is I've used these little Velcro dots that I purchased off Amazon. So these are not Stampin' Up. They are just from Amazon. And in case you're looking at them, these are what they are. They're just removable mounting circles in 3/8 of an inch or 0.9 centimeters. And they just come in little sheets. And that is what I used to hold those together. I'm just going to pull these out. Oops. So that we have them when we're ready. So then the next thing we want to do is we want to use a square of designer series paper. It's going to measure 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. We're going to cut that in half using our trimmer, lining up the edges diagonally just like we did when we scored to have 2 halves. And then again, same thing, 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 of your whisper weight, but you only need 1/2 of that. So we're going to go ahead and adhere our triangles. Now it doesn't matter which pieces you adhere them to. You could do like that, or you could do like that. Whichever works for you is what you're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and stick those down together, and then I'm going to put the white on the back side. So again, we're just going to use our adhesive. Now, the great thing about designer series paper is you can choose which side you like better. I think I'm going to stay with the greens just for that contrast. And oops, sticking to my fingers. So now the Lily designer series paper and the stamp set, of course, you can only earn during Sale-a-Bration. They are not for purchase. So you do have to spend a minimum of $60 to get the stamp set or the paper. And if you want both, you do have to spend $120. But that would cover the rest of your supplies to make a TP card. So then when I flip that over, we're going to put the whisper white on this side, but we're going to stamp on that first. So I'm not going to adhere it just yet. So here's where I'm going to pull in my stamps. So I am using the medium-sized Lily, and this is a reversible stamp. So if you haven't seen these yet, one side is your background, so the Lily, and then the other side adds your texture and your details. So right now I'm using the back side, and I'm going to pull in Lovely Lipstick, and I'm going to stamp this as the background to my Lily. Now, Lovely Lipstick is one of the 2018-2020 in colors, and it will be retiring come June. So if it is a color that you enjoy, I recommend strongly that you get it on your next order, because as soon as Stampin' Up! Announces the retirement list, it will sell out. In colors tend to go very quickly, so I recommend that you do order. So what I've just done is I've inked my Lily, and I've gone ahead and stamped it off twice on a scrap piece of paper because I don't want the background to be super dark. So there is our background, and then I'm going to flip the stamp over, but I'm going to clean it first. I'm just using my chamois, and I'm going to give the background a wipe here. And now I'm going to stick it on my block again, and now I'm going to pull in the Gorgeous Grape ink. And I'm going to ink that up, and then I'm just going to line it up. It's not going to line up perfectly because it is a reverse image, We're just going to stamp that over top, and then it gives the lily some texture in the back. And then we're going to do the same thing with the smallest lily image, but this time I'm going to, I'm going to stick with the lipstick. So again, I'm going to ink it up as best as I can, and then I'm going to stamp it off a couple of times. And then we're just going to, on either side here, without getting it on my background. And then I'm going to clean it. I'm going to flip it over using the Gorgeous Grape. We're going to line that up. And what I love about this is it doesn't have to line up perfectly, but it still gives you that great detail. Okay, and now that that's stamped, we can go ahead and adhere that to the base, but I do want just a little pop of color in there. So what I'm going to do now is pull in my Bermuda Bay and this little leafy image, and I'm only going to ink one leaf, and I just want to give that leaf a little pop between the lilies there, just to give it a little pop of the bluey green. So now we can go ahead and stick that down. So there we go. There we go. So I mean, that's pretty in itself, but of course we do want to dress it up a little bit more. So we're going to go ahead and continue stamping. We could put our Velcro dots on now if we chose. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to peel one off. So what I like to do is just fold it to see where my positioning needs to be. Put the one piece on, and now what I did with the other piece, so that I make sure it lines up properly, is I actually stuck it to the Velcro. So then when I closed it, it was exactly where I need it to be. I apologize for the background noise. My daughter's down here crafting with me, trying to make the best of our coronavirus time. Okay, so let's go ahead and decorate. So what I've done for the lilies here is I've used that same stamp, and I have stamped on a scrap piece of white, and then we're going to hand cut those all out. So again, we're going to use the lovely lipstick for the background, and we're going to stamp it off because we don't want it to be too dark. And we're going to give that a nice stamp. And then I'm going to clean my stamp. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to use the Gorgeous Grape at the top. And then we're going to pull in our little bloom. And this time I'm going to actually stamp in the Bermuda Bay. So I'm going to ink up my background, stamp off once, and stamp. And then I'm going to stamp again without, so then I have a little bit of dimension there. And then again, we're going to flip it over and use the Gorgeous Grape to stamp our details and clean that off. And that is ready to go. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and hand cut those. But while we're stamping, I'm going to pull in a little scrap of Granny Apple Green, and we're going to use the Bermuda Bay with the lily pad image. And we are going to stamp a lily pad because we're going to cut that out as well. So there's our lily pad. Just clean up the inks here for a minute. Okay. I'm just going to grab my paper snips, and we're just going to cut this guy out. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's the joy of fussy cutting. They don't have to be beautiful. They just need to be functional. So there's our lily pad, and then we're gonna cut out our images. I like to work with smaller pieces, so I'm just gonna cut these off. And I'm just going to follow the outline. Again, it doesn't have to be pretty. You can have a bit of a white border. There's one. 2. Get our scraps out of there. And our lily. So that didn't take any time at all. So now we're going to stick those to our base using Stampin' Dimensionals, which of course I didn't pull out. So let me grab those real quick. All right. So I'm going to put a couple on our lily pad. So I'm going to put my lily pad down first because I do want that to lay somewhat flat. And then we're going to put dimensionals on our flowers. Probably don't need many dimensionals. Again, I apologize for the noise. I've got the dog down here and the kids down here, and we're making the best of the whole corona situation. And then this guy we're going to tuck there. And this guy I think I'm going to try and tuck in behind if I can get the back off. There we go. So try to tuck him in behind. So there's our lilies. And we're one step closer to being finished. So again, super cute, even without anything further. We could certainly give that away, but a card isn't a card without some sort of sentiment. So this is where I'm actually going to use the beautiful bouquet stamp set, and I'm going to use the I couldn't have picked a better friend than you. I feel like that's important in the world today and what's going on and all the chaos out there. So I want to have something that I can give to a friend and let them know I'm thinking about them. So I'm going to use my gorgeous grape ink again and my stamp. And I'm going to stamp it close to the edge because I'm going to use the tailor tag punch to cut this out, and I want to be able to line it up. And I'm looking, and I think I didn't stamp it far enough in. So we're going to re-stamp that a little bit higher up to give it room top and bottom. So this is the tailor tag punch. So we're going to go ahead, and the first one I punched, you can see that I didn't leave myself enough room on the top that it would have been short. So I'm glad I re-stamped it. So we're just going to line that up so it's nice and centered in the frame there. I think that looks good. And give it a punch. And then we're also going to punch a tag from Gorgeous Grape because we're going to use that as a layering. So now what I want to do is I want to layer the white on top of the grape so that it has that little bit peeking out. So I'm just going to use my adhesive to give it some stick. And stick that on there. And then we're going to use dimensionals once again. I'm going to stick this to our teepee somewhere in the center there. And there we have a completed card. Now, if you're like me, a card is never complete without some bling. So I'm going to pull in my Noble Peacock rhinestones. And I'm going to use the green. This is where my pick tool would come in handy, but I didn't bring it with me. So I'm just going to put these top and bottom here. And there you have it, a completed teepee card. I hope you all enjoyed the projects today. I will be sure to post pictures on my website and social channels, so be sure to check them out. If you liked my video today, be sure to like, comment, and share, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks for watching.